He smiled before he humiliated me. Not a nervous smile. Not an accidental one. A clean, confident smirk practiced. The kind you give when you're sure the room belongs to you. That's my brother, he said lightly. The room didn't react the way he expected. I stood there in silence, hands relaxed, breathing slow. Years ago I learned silence is louder than excuses. My brother adjusted his suit, proud of himself. Expensive. Borrowed confidence stitched into every seam. He had waited for this moment. I could tell this was his audience, his stage. We were standing in the executive conference room of a company that didn't allow mistakes. Glass walls, city skyline, power humming in the air. His boss sat at the head of the table, flipping through a thin folder. Yeah. My brother continued, laughing softly, making it sound casual. He tried a few things. Nothing worked. Some people just aren't built for success. I nodded once, not in agreement. In acknowledgement. Failure is an interesting word. People throw it around when they don't understand timelines. I remember the day my father stopped talking to me. The day my brother got his first promotion. The day I packed my bags without explaining myself to anyone. They all thought I disappeared because I couldn't handle losing. The truth was simpler. I was building something that required distance. My brother gestured toward the chair beside him. Sit, you'll like this place. Even if you don't belong here. I sat. The boss finally looked up. His eyes met mine for half a second, then stayed there, too long for politeness. Long enough to measure something invisible. He closed the folder slowly. What did you say your name was? He asked me. I answered calmly. My brother didn't hear the shift in the room. People who talk too much never do. The boss leaned back, fingers interlocked. His voice was soft now. Controlled. Curious? You look familiar, he said. My brother laughed again. Louder this time. Trust me, sir. He's not anyone important. I felt it then. That quiet tightening behind the eyes. The moment when patience becomes a decision. The boss smiled, but not at my brother. Interesting, he said. Because the last time I saw this name, it was on a document that cost someone their career. The air changed. My brother straightened. Just a little. I said nothing. Silence has weight, and in rooms like this it presses hard. The boss turned to my brother. Yes, my brother replied quickly. He tried. But, the boss interrupted gently. The company that collapsed 3 years ago, the one acquired quietly, the one that reshaped our entire supply chain. He tapped the folder. That was his. My brother's smile froze. I watched it happen in real time. The recalculation, the sudden need to remember details he never cared about. The boss stood up. You didn't fail, he said to me, voice still calm. I met his eyes. Just once. That was enough. My brother swallowed. I didn't know, he said, suddenly careful. I almost laughed, almost. The boss walked closer. Every step felt deliberate. People don't announce strategy, he said. They execute it. He stopped beside me. Then he looked at my brother and asked softly, too softly. Tell me something. When you called him your family's failure, did you really believe that? The room went dead silent. My brother opened his mouth. Nothing came out. I stayed seated, calm still, because some moments don't need help, they just need time. And this one was just beginning. My brother laughed again, but this time it cracked halfway through, a sound that betrayed him. Family jokes, he said, forcing air into his lungs. You know how it is. The boss didn't respond immediately. He studied my brother the way surgeons study scans, quiet, precise, already planning where to cut. He repeated softly. He turned back to me. Why are you here? He asked. It wasn't small talk, it wasn't curiosity, it was a test. I was invited, I said. Nothing more. My brother flinched at the simplicity of it. He hated when I spoke like that, always had. The boss nodded slowly. By whom? I looked at my brother, just briefly, long enough to remind him of all the conversations he never had with me. He was, I said. The room tightened. My brother shook his head immediately. No, that's not what I meant. I just said he could come along. I didn't think. You didn't think, the boss said, cutting him off gently. That part is clear. He returned to his seat but didn't sit, hands on the table, leaning forward now. Let's clarify something, he said. This company doesn't tolerate dead weight, but it also doesn't tolerate lies. My brother's throat moved, once, twice. I wasn't lying. I just didn't know his past. The boss tilted his head. Did you ever ask? Silence. I could hear the hum of the building, the distant city, somewhere below us. People rushing to meetings that didn't matter. I didn't think it mattered, my brother said. The boss smiled faintly. That's usually the excuse. He opened the folder again, flipping to a page I hadn't seen. Numbers, dates. You left your last company 2 months before it imploded. He set eyes on me. Why? I shrugged slightly. Timing? Luck? He asked. No, I replied. Pattern recognition. That got his attention. My brother stared at me now openly, confused, uneasy. You see, I continued calmly, when everyone is celebrating growth, that's when I start looking for cracks. The boss closed the folder again. And did you see cracks here? He asked. The question hung there, dangerous, loaded. I see stress, I said. I see expansion without infrastructure. I see people promoted for loyalty instead of competence. I didn't look at my brother when I said it. I didn't need to. The boss exhaled slowly, not annoyed, impressed. That's a bold assessment, he said. I don't make assessments to be liked. I replied. Make them to be accurate. My brother stepped forward. Sir, with respect, he hasn't worked here a day. I've been loyal for years. The boss finally sat down. Yes, he said. You have. Then he looked at my brother and asked, tell me, what was the biggest risk we took last quarter? My brother blinked. Risk. Yes, the boss said patiently. The one that kept me up at night. My brother opened his mouth, closed it, tried again. We expanded into the northern market, he said finally. The boss waited. And he prompted, and we increased revenue by. I asked about risk. The boss interrupted. Not reward. My brother's face reddened. I spoke before he could scramble again. You over-leveraged on a supplier with a fragile logistics chain, I said evenly. Any disruption, political, environmental, regulatory, would bottleneck your entire operation. The boss's eyes snapped to me. That's correct, he said. My brother turned toward me stunned. You didn't even work here, he whispered. I met his gaze calmly. No, I said. I studied you. That hurt him more than any insult could have. The boss leaned back. You see, he said to my brother, there's a difference between loyalty and awareness. One keeps you employed, the other keeps you alive. My brother clenched his fists. I've sacrificed everything for this company, he said. I put my family second. The boss raised an eyebrow. Clearly, he said. I felt it then, the shift. The moment my brother realized this room was no longer his. The boss turned to me again. You didn't correct him when he called you a failure, he said. Why? I thought for a moment. Because people reveal more when they think they're above you, I said. Correcting them too early ruins the experiment. The boss smiled, a real one this time. My brother shook his head, backing away slightly. He asked. I stood up slowly. Not aggressive, not dramatic, just intentional. Power, I said. Who has it? Who borrows it, and who mistakes proximity for ownership? The boss folded his hands. Your brother believes titles protect him, he said. Do they? I looked at my brother. No, I said. They expose him. My brother's voice dropped. You came here to embarrass me. No, I replied calmly. The boss glanced at the door. Security, he said quietly. My brother froze. Sir, he said quickly. What is this? The boss didn't look at him. I asked them to wait, he said. Just in case. In case of what? My brother demanded. The boss finally met his eyes. In case I discovered that someone in my executive team doesn't understand the business or the people in it. The door clicked. Not open, just unlock. The sound was enough. My brother's breathing changed, shallow now. Fast, he turned to me. Say something, he said. Tell him you're not. This isn't. I stayed silent. Because this wasn't the moment yet. The boss stood. I haven't made any decisions, he said, but I will. He looked at me one last time. And when I do, he added, I'll need someone who understands timing. He walked toward the door. My brother reached for my arm. Please, he said quietly. We're family. I looked down at his hand, then back at his face. The smirk was gone, the certainty too. I know, I said softly. The door opened, and that's when everything stopped. Right before it changed. The door didn't swing wide. It opened just enough to remind everyone that it could. 2 security officers waited outside. Still professional, unrateable. They weren't looking at anyone in particular. They didn't need to. The boss stepped into the hallway and spoke to them quietly. I couldn't hear the words, but I recognized the tone. Measured. Deliberate. The tone people use when they're deciding how much damage is necessary. He closed the door behind him. We were alone again. My brother released my arm slowly, as if touching me any longer might cost him something he couldn't afford. He tried to straighten his jacket. His hands shook. You planned this, he said, not angry, not loud, just frightened enough to be honest. I didn't answer. People think silence is avoidance. Sometimes it's restraint. He paced once, then stopped in front of me. You disappeared, he said. You didn't call. What was I supposed to think? That you didn't ask, I replied. The words landed softly. They still hurt. He swallowed. I was busy, he said. So did I said. Mine just didn't come with applause. He looked away. For a moment the old familiarity flickered between us, the shared childhood, the cramped rooms, the unspoken competition that never needed rules. Then it vanished. You know what they say about you? He asked suddenly. His voice carried something sharp now. Defensive, I tilted my head slightly. Which version? That you're difficult, he said. That you don't play well with others. That you walk away when things get uncomfortable. I almost smiled. They say that, I replied, because I leave before comfort turns into complacency. He scoffed weakly. You think you're better than us? No, I said calmly. I think I'm honest about the cost. He laughed, a brittle sound. And what does that make me? I met his eyes. Expensive, I said, and unaware. That did it. His face tightened, jaw locking as if holding something back. Everything I have, he said, I earned. I know, I said. That's why you're so afraid of losing it. The door handle moved. Just slightly. The boss re-entered the room, alone this time. He closed the door fully, locked it, no drama, just a quiet click. Sit, he said to my brother. My brother hesitated, then obeyed. The boss remained standing, walking slowly to the window. He looked out at the city again. Do you know what I value most? He asked, still facing away. Neither of us answered. Predictability, he continued. I like knowing how people will react under pressure. He turned back toward us. You, he said, nodding at my brother. Predictable. My brother stiffened. And you, he said, looking at me, you're not. The boss smiled faintly. That makes you dangerous and useful. My brother shot to his feet. You can't be serious, he said. I've given this company everything. The boss raised a hand. Yes, he said. Your time. Your obedience, your silence. He lowered his hand, but not your understanding. He walked back to the table and placed the folder down between us, pushed it slowly toward my brother. Open it, he said. Then opened it. I watched his eyes move across the page. Once, twice, his breathing changed. What is this, he asked. Internal assessments, the boss replied. Performance reviews, risk profiles. My brother looked up sharply. Why is his name in here? Because, the boss said evenly, your brother has been studying us longer than you've been working for us. My brother turned to me, disbelief flooding his face. You, he asked. No, I said. I was preparing. For what? He demanded. I paused for leverage. The boss chuckled quietly. Honest, he said. I appreciate that. My brother flipped pages faster now. These recommendations. He said, voice rising. They're accurate. Too accurate. The boss nodded. They should be. I approved them. My brother's voice dropped. You've been talking to him. Yes, the boss said.
For months?
The room felt smaller. But why? My brother asked. Why him? The boss looked at me again. Because he never asked for anything, he said. He just listened. My brother laughed bitterly. And now what? You replaced me with him. The boss didn't answer immediately. He walked around the table, stopping behind my brother's chair, rested a hand lightly on it. Replacement is a crude word, he said. My brother went still. The boss leaned closer. Tell me, he said softly, when you introduced him as your family's failure, what reaction were you hoping for? My brother closed his eyes. I wanted to feel safe, he admitted. That, he said, is the problem. He turned to me. Stand up, he said. I did. No rush, no hesitation. We stood across from each other now, two brothers, measured by the same room, judged by different standards. The boss looked between us. One of you understands how power moves, he said. The other understands how to hold on to a title. He stepped back. I haven't decided what comes next, he said. But I will ask you both one question. He looked at my brother first. If this company collapses tomorrow, he asked, what do you lose? My brother opened his mouth, stopped, then spoke quietly. Everything? The boss turned to me. And you? I didn't answer right away. I looked around the room, the glass walls, the city beyond, the silence between us. Nothing, I said finally. I already left. That, he said, tells me everything I need to know. He picked up the folder again. Go home, he said to my brother. Both of you. My brother blinked. Eyes, am I fired? The boss smiled faintly. Not yet, he said. But you should prepare as if you are. He opened the door. Security waited. My brother looked at me one last time, not angry now, not mocking, just unsure. As we walked out into the hallway, I felt it. The tension tightening again, unfinished, unresolved behind us. The door closed. The elevator door slid shut with a hiss, leaving the echo of the conference room behind. My brother leaned against the wall, face pale, jaw tight. He didn't speak at first. Some people need silence before they speak the truth. You, he began, voice shaking slightly. How did you? I let him struggle for words. Some questions are better left unanswered. I prepared, I said simply. Not boastful, not defensive. Just the truth, years of planning, of studying, of waiting for a single opportunity. A smirk flickered across his face, not the confident one from before, but the kind that comes from the faint hope that maybe, just maybe, this is a nightmare. Prepared, he repeated. So all this time you were spying on us. Observing, I corrected him. Watching patterns. Listening to decisions, noting weaknesses. He laughed bitterly, shaking his head. You're insane, he said. You've been gone for years, gone, and you spent it preparing for this. I shrugged. Someone had to. The elevator slowed and the floor numbers clicked softly. We didn't speak again until the doors opened. The lobby was busy, glass and marble reflecting the afternoon light. People rushed past, unaware of the tension riding in the elevator just moments ago. My brother stared at the crowd. I can't believe this, he said. His voice was quieter now, vulnerable, broken. I stepped out, letting the noise of the lobby fill the space between us. It's not about belief, I said. It's about facts. He turned toward me, eyes wide. You're going to take everything from me, he whispered. I didn't answer. Not because I couldn't, but because the truth doesn't need words. Power moves silently. It waits, it watches, and it acts when the time is perfect. We moved toward the exit. The sunlight hit my face, but it didn't warm me. It illuminated the path I had walked for years, the long road of planning, patience, and quiet observation. My brother fell behind, stumbling over his own thoughts. I thought I was clever, he said. I thought I knew how to control everything. But you knew more than I ever imagined. I glanced back at him. You knew nothing, I said. Not even your own family. The words hit him harder than any insult ever could. He opened his mouth again, then closed it, swallowing the words. Outside, the city stretched endlessly. Cars honked. People shouted. The world moved. But for him, everything had stopped. The stability he thought he owned had crumbled beneath him, and he hadn't even realized it yet. We walked in silence for a few blocks. I could feel the tension, the disbelief. The slow realization that I was no longer the failure he had labeled me. He kept glancing at me as if expecting me to laugh, to admit it had all been a game. But I didn't laugh. Games have consequences. And consequences are patient. You're not going to… Stop, I said sharply. He froze mid-step. Stop thinking about outcomes, I continued. Not yet. Timing matters. Timing is everything. His eyes darted around nervously. I don't understand, he said, voice trembling. Why didn't you confront me before? Why wait? Because, I said slowly, letting each word hit. The moment wasn't right, and if I acted too soon it would have meant nothing now. Now it means everything. He stepped back instinctively as if I had grown taller, stronger. I can fix this, he said. I can explain. No, I interrupted, voice calm, unshaken. You can't fix what's already broken. You only react when you feel cornered. That's why you're predictable. He went silent, staring at me like I had become someone else entirely. I don't know what to do, he admitted finally, vulnerability dripping from his words. I smiled faintly. Good, I said. That's the beginning. We reached the street. Cars roared past, oblivious to the quiet war that had just unfolded. I moved to cross, my eyes never leaving his. You have a choice, I said. You can act now or wait and let the consequences find you. Either way, the path ahead is clear. He swallowed. The hesitation was all I needed to see. The cracks had appeared and he could no longer ignore them. A taxi honked nearby, breaking the silence. He flinched. The city moved around us. But he was trapped in the moment, trapped in the awareness that the power balance had shifted. You think you've won, he said finally. But this isn't over. I shook my head slowly. This is just the beginning, I corrected him. You're still learning, and learning is painful. His hands clenched at his sides. I trusted you, he whispered. I thought I knew you. Trust is earned, I said softly. And you've just realized how much you never had. The sun dipped lower, shadows stretching across the pavement. He looked around, trying to find an escape, a lifeline, a way to regain control. But there was none. The moment was mine. The balance had shifted. We stopped at a crosswalk. The pedestrian light blinked. I didn't move immediately. He waited, unsure whether to step forward or retreat. You know, I said, lowering my voice. Fear is the most useful tool in the room. His jaw tightened. I can fight this, he said. I can fix it. I can make you… Stop, I said again. Not harshly, just firmly. Patience, I continued. Let the pieces fall. Let the city move. Let people make mistakes around you. Then act. The light changed. People surged forward, pushing past us. The world moved without pause. But for him time had slowed. Every second stretched. Every thought magnified. I don't know if I can survive this, he muttered almost to himself. I looked at him, calm and unreadable. Survival isn't the point, I said. Observation is. And now finally you are being observed. He shivered slightly. The cool evening air did little to soothe the growing realization. His world had changed. The rules had shifted. And he hadn't even noticed until now. We walked again, slowly, deliberately. He trying to keep pace. I controlling the rhythm. Every step felt like a lesson. Every glance a reminder, he said finally. But I've seen clever before. I didn't respond. Silence was more dangerous than words. The streetlights flickered on. Long shadows stretched across the pavement, twisting and merging. It was a city of millions, yet he felt smaller than ever, invisible, exposed. You always underestimate me, he said finally. And you overestimate yourself. I replied softly. His eyes widened. He opened his mouth, then closed it. The realization settled in. He had no control over what came next. The power had shifted. And I was patient. We reached the corner where the taxi would take me home. He lingered, unwilling to leave, unwilling to follow, unsure of what to do next. I turned to him, calm and composed. This isn't a battle you can fight, I said. Not yet. Not ever, until you understand who you're dealing with. The taxi arrived. I didn't get in immediately. I looked at him one last time. You'll see, I said quietly. Everything is coming. And when it does, you'll wish you had paid attention sooner. He said nothing, couldn't say anything. Words had failed him. I stepped into the taxi. The door closed. And I watched him standing on the corner, alone in the shadows, trying to comprehend the storm he had ignored for too long. The city moved around him, cars, people, noise, life, but for him time had stopped. And somewhere deep inside he knew he was already losing. The taxi pulled away slowly, city lights reflecting off the windows like fragments of a shattered mirror. I leaned back calm, letting the motion of the car mirror the rhythm of my thoughts. Every moment, every step I had taken, had been deliberate, every silence a weapon, every glance a measure. My brother was still standing at the corner alone, frozen in the middle of a world that didn't wait for anyone. I remembered the years I had spent out of sight, out of mind, the nights of planning, watching, learning. The world thought I had failed. The world thought I was weak, but weakness, I had learned, was often a disguise for strength. When the car reached the outskirts of the city, I instructed the driver to slow. I wanted to walk the rest of the way, control the pace, measure every step, let the city sounds sharpen my awareness. I stepped onto the sidewalk. The air was cold, crisp. My breath formed small clouds, and somewhere behind me, I felt his gaze. He had followed, unnoticed, predictable. I didn't turn around, I didn't need to. The street was empty except for us. shadows stretching long in the dim light. You followed me, I said softly, not looking back. Yes, he admitted. His voice cracked slightly, betraying his fear and fascination. I had to know what you were planning. What you were going to do. I stopped walking. Finally, the street was narrow, lined with silent buildings, dark windows staring like witnesses. I turned to him slowly, eyes calm, voice even. You wanted to see power, I said. Now you have. His hands trembled slightly. I don't understand, he said. I thought I was in control. I thought I knew the rules. You never knew the rules, I said. Not even when you wrote them yourself. You were playing a game without seeing the board. He stepped closer, the last bit of bravado slipping away. You could have destroyed me, he said quietly. You could have ruined everything I worked for. I shook my head. Destruction is easy, I said. Patience, that's where the power lies. He swallowed. The city was quiet now. The hum of distant traffic a reminder that life moved on, but for him, it felt like the world had stopped. You're dangerous, he said finally. I see that now. I can't predict you. That's the point, I said. You don't get to predict me, you get to react. We stood in silence for a long moment. And then slowly I reached into my coat pocket and pulled out the folder the boss had given me earlier. He stiffened immediately. What is that? Information, I said. Evidence of decisions made without understanding, failures ignored, risks underestimated. He stared at it. Fear, realization, and a hint of respect crossed his face. You're serious, he said softly. I've always been serious, I replied. You just didn't notice. His eyes narrowed. You could have taken the company, he said. The boss, he respects you. You have influence already. I smiled faintly. Influence without timing is meaningless, I said. I waited until the moment was right. And now you're aware of it too late. He looked away, defeated, but still searching for something, some foothold. Some escape. There has to be a way to fix this, he said. We're family. I shook my head. Family doesn't save people from consequences, I said. It teaches them, slowly, patiently, brutally. The tension between us was sharp enough to cut. Every word, every breath measured, every movement deliberate. I stepped closer. He didn't move. He couldn't. You called me a failure in front of the boss, I said, voice low. Do you understand what that did? Not to me, to you. His face paled. I didn't know, he whispered. Exactly, I said. That's the point. You didn't know. You never knew. And that's why you were exposed. We walked a few steps together, side by side, silent but tense. Then I stopped, turned to face him fully. I'm not here to destroy you, I said. I'm here to show you the truth. And the truth is you're not prepared for the power around you. You never were. He swallowed. I don't understand, he said. Why are you doing this? I stepped closer, my shadow falling over him. Because someone had to, I said. And if I didn't, the world would have shown you slowly and painfully. His eyes widened. You're gonna leave me like this. I nodded slowly. Until you learn, I said. We stood there, the cold night air swirling around us, the city moving on, oblivious to the tension on this empty street. He was small, vulnerable, exposed, and for the first time, I saw the brother I had known crumble under the weight of his own arrogance. You've changed, he said finally. You're not the same person I left behind. No, I said quietly. I am stronger, patient, calm. And I've waited a long time for this moment. He looked down at his hands. You always were better than me, he whispered. I smiled faintly. Better at what matters, I said. The silence stretched between us. Then I turned and began walking away. Not running, not hurried. Just walking. Every step deliberate, every movement a statement. He didn't follow. He couldn't. He was trapped in realization, in understanding, in fear. The taxi that had brought me earlier approached quietly. I stepped inside. The driver glanced at me but didn't ask questions. I didn't answer. As the car pulled away, I looked out the window one last time. My brother was still standing there alone in the shadows. The city stretched endlessly around him. Life went on. But he was no longer in control. The boss had started the chain. I had continued it. And now the world, our world, would follow the rules I had set. I leaned back, collected, finally sat action. Not with revenge, but with timing, with patience, with power finally in its rightful place. And somewhere deep inside, I knew this was just the beginning of a new era, for me, for him, for everyone who underestimated the quiet, the patient, the unseen. The city lights blurred past the window. The hum of the engine matched the rhythm of my pulse. The night was mine, and for the first time in years, I felt the kind of control most people only dream about. Power, patience, strategy, silence. The world had shown me nothing. I had prepared for everything. And now everything had come to me. The taxi disappeared into the night. The streets swallowed the echoes of the past. And in the quiet shadows, a lesson had been written, one that would never be forgotten.